All right. All right, you guys want to see how I feel about this game? That's how I feel about this game right there. Right there. All right. So, was this spoiler free? Yes. Yes, this game was spoiler free. Music rating. There were some good tracks in this game. Overall, it was pretty mediocre. There was nothing special. Even the final boss theme was kind of dumb. There was some nice pleasant music though, and sad quote-unquote music. You can't see shit? Can you seriously not see anything? Oh, well, I didn't even do anything yet! Relax, guys! Jeez! Okay, so, anyway... The music rating to me, overall, was okay. It was nothing special. Better than some of the games we've played on this list already. Definitely worse than some others. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7. There's definitely tracks on there that I enjoyed. Tracks that were really good and fitting of certain situations and scenarios. It was really disappointing, the boss fights and stuff like that, and how some areas played the same music constantly. It was probably one of the more highlights of this game for me. Get out of here, Nakurti. Why is your name there? Does not belong there. Alright, so graphics. The game looked really good. Some of the animations and stuff like that, the characters were really well done as well. The attacks and things like that were okay. They were flashy, they were nothing special. But for the 360, if we compare Eternal Sonata and the art direction that game took and this game, it goes to show you that I kind of like the more artsy aesthetic to it and things like that. But it was still really well done and very fluid, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8. Story. Okay. The story itself was okay. Yeah, the character proportions were very awkward, but I'm not going to get into that because that's just a design choice, and some people might like that and be okay with it, even if I was kind of, So, the story. There wasn't really much of a story. You're basically fighting a war for pointless reasons. Either do you live in a world where there's magic that people can use, that occasionally the magic is hindered by these death seeds or doom seeds that fall down, or do you bring it back to like a more modern type of world where you have to farm the lands and there's no wizardry to heal people and things like that. There wasn't a whole lot going on. There was more story between the characters and the creations of them and where they came from and everything else than there was anything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6. It wasn't terrible. It's a game you could definitely pick up and like aspects of it and things like that, but it was kind of meh at best, but above average in some regards. Yes, something Magna Carta. Mechanics rating. So they were very ambitious with the mechanics in this game. They tried to do something like Xenoblade Chronicles did, where you have constant teammates doing things and so on and so forth, but it was not fluid at all. And to add to that, to put a point to where your character literally can do absolutely nothing for a significant period of time, and it's not just like a second or two, it's something like 10 seconds that your character just sits there, is unable to do anything. That is frustrating and annoying. And there is a way to counter that. Yeah, there is something that you can do, but you have to make sure that your characters are set up to do it, in the right position to do it. You have to make sure that the boss doesn't hit you. You have to make a character, or sure your character's in range to do attacks and things like that. So it's just, it felt a bit too forced for me to be fun. It was definitely unique, but it was just kind of grindy. And you guys saw what I was doing with the bosses. The mechanics and stuff like that really weren't well thought out. I sat back and healed my characters, and that's all I had to do, and that worked. I ran from practically every battle in the game. Every boss was just this tank that absorbed my hits, where I was doing 2,000, 3,000 damage to mobs right before the boss. I'd be doing 200 per attack to the bosses. So they were just like these huge, time-consuming, boring, annoying fights, and I forgot to stop my timer. But that's okay, I stopped it now. So overall, like I said, I feel like the mechanics of this game were very, very ambitious, and I think that there was a lot of uniqueness to it, and it could have been done a lot better. There's a couple things that they could have potentially changed. At least making your character switching and things like that more fluid, how you build con and stuff like that, maybe slightly more fluid as well, so you can kind of know when you're going to build the con and be able to do your stuff together, rather than, okay, I attacked 4 times and I build a con, so when I attack 4 times, I'm going to build one, right? No, sometimes it takes 7, sometimes it takes 14, sometimes you lose one in the middle of attacking and things like that. There was no real strategic element that you could constantly have in your favor for a game like that, which games like that, in my opinion, need. There has to be a thought process that you're going through, and most of the time I was just like, oh, skills up, press that button, skills not up, mash A button, need to heal, heal. There's nothing really inherently special about that. And really, it was a turn-based RPG overall. So I'm going to go ahead and give the mechanics a 5. That might be a lot lower than what many others might consider it, and a lot of people might enjoy that aspect, or that type of combat, but for me, it was just very poorly executed, to the point of actually causing me some issues and being much less fun than it could have been. Alright, grinding rating. So, there are a bunch of situations where you can avoid enemies, but Persona 5 really good roller coaster, Magna Carta roller coaster got stuck. The grinding in this game. I want to say that you can avoid a lot of battles, but it doesn't really matter, because the enemies scale with your level. So it seemed, unless I was just going through the game in such a perfect way that the enemies were always 4 to 5 levels higher than me. And when you get the bosses, they're ridiculous regardless of when you get to them. They have like standard HP and stuff like that. So I want to say that you don't really need to grind, but there's so many forced battles in the game that I don't really feel that it matters. Like, you're gonna fight a lot of stuff, and even in situations where you can avoid everything, there's situations you get put into where it's like, well, we gotta do a quest here, and we have to kill 50 things to get 3 items. You essentially clear out an entire area to get those items, just like you would have anyway, rather than running from them. And the fact that it was a quest-based system to begin with definitely added to the grinding as well. There was lots of boring, annoying stuff that you had to do that just felt like it killed the story. And every time the story tried to pick up a tiny bit and get a little bit better and a little bit interesting, the game's like, well, guess what? You gotta go collect 3 items now before we can progress a little bit more. You're like right in the heat of the moment. The guy's right there. It's like, he's up in the sky now. Let's go get him. Oh, but wait, we need a rock and a piece of paper and a couple pearls and then we're good to go. And that changes the dynamic in the game completely, when you get all the story dropped on you and things like that at the same time. I hate stuff like that, and that's part of the reason I just hate quest-based RPGs to begin with. There's always something like that in there. Xenoblade Chronicles did it better, where the quests themselves were part of the actual storyline, was basic progression and beating a boss. This game was more like, well, we're gonna do MMO quests that you can progress to the next area of the game, and to me, that's definitely an element of grinding as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and give that a 5 also. So my overall rating of this game, I'd say I'm going to give it a 6. It wasn't terrible. It's definitely a... I'm more of a linear game guy overall. Yeah, MacGyver it with what I have into it. So let me see what you guys had. I sent out a straw poll for you guys earlier. Let's see what you guys voted. What did you guys think? Okay, there's some lower ratings there than I expected to see. Just a little bit. Here, hold on. Sorry, I had to go back and grab it. There you go. Go ahead and vote a while. I will try and see what you guys picked overall. You guys were much more merciless than I was, apparently. Yeah, there was a lot of that in this game. There was a lot of staring and doing nothing. But like I said, overall, it's another type of game that if you played when it came out and you really messed with the combat and things like that, and again, if you played it a couple hours at a time, you didn't play it like straight out like I was doing, you might have enjoyed it a little bit more. And you guys have your votes like all over the place, so this is definitely going to take me a little bit longer to figure out this time, so sorry for that. Alright, how many votes do we have? 13. Holy shit. Man, you guys are brutal. You guys gave it a 5. For me, this is the type of game that definitely had potential over anything else, but it definitely fell short as well. Alright, replay value. No. No, I won't replay it. Sorry, Aaron. Not replaying it. Alright, that took us 30 hours, 19 minutes, 58 seconds. Not really, though, because I forgot to stop the timer. I have no guts. I'm just expressing how I felt. There were moments in the game where I was like, huh, you know, this is okay, or I'm interested in these, like, particular characters and part of where the story's going and stuff like that. But then a majority of the game was just like, I don't like this. Alright. You guys know what time it is? Alright guys, it is raffle time. For those of you that are new here, every time I beat a game I have a review of it, and then I have a raffle. Whoever wins the raffle gets to pick the next game that I play. Everyone has equal chance of winning. All you have to do is type in the word raffle. Yeah, that was good timing. But yeah, all you have to do is type the word raffle, and you have a chance to enter. You get to pick the next game that I play. I know there's a lot of people in here that lurk most of the time. Even if you want to step out of lurking to just type the word in once, you got that opportunity to pick the next game. And there's plenty of RPGs. Here is Rafiki. Oh man. There's a list for you guys to look at. I'll give you a little bit of time, and then we'll go from there. And I always try to make sure everyone is in that should be. Riff Raff the Raffle. Rah 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 raffle. You guys are great. You guys are fantastic. Alright, I think we gave enough time to everybody. It looks like everyone that typed the word raffle is in, so we're gonna go ahead and go with the raffle rule here, guys. Good luck, everyone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, Defoe! There you go. Thank you so much for the 1-bit, Overhunter. Rigged! It's not you, Deformed, it's the other Deformed! I think everybody has a chance of winning at some point. Watashi Machine was one of the first people to win. And she was like, I never win things! Everyone's so sad. I always feel bad. But it's always nice to see someone new winning the raffles. You got plenty of games to pick from, man. Take your time. Please make it a short game? Wait, you mean you don't want Persona 4 right after Persona 5, and then Persona 3 right after that, and Persona 2 right after that? Listen to Jago, something bad? Weren't you not sitting here? What's this? What's this, Nakurdi? Is it this again? Is it this? Trails in the sky. Koldelka. Okay. You were definitely talking about that for a while. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to do that. That's a game I'm more than likely not gonna be able to buy. Can I type, please? What the hell? What the fuck? Wishes they didn't waste the raffle in a troll game. Yeah, Watashi, that game remains the worst rated game on my list so far. But it was an experience nonetheless. You don't have to apologize. Why is the text not showing up here? I'm super confused. Oh well. There we go. Alright guys, we still have plenty of time today, so depending on how things go, I'll make sure to eat something here. I'll get the next game set up and things like that. If I've got some time, we'll start some, how do you say this? Yedra Union? Yggdrasil is how you say it, so yeah. We'll never fight alone. That is... I have no idea how long that game is or anything like that, but based on what I've seen about it, I think it's like a slightly tactical game, so... yeah. Dragon Warrior? Which Dragon Warrior? Alright, Watashi, thanks for stopping by. I think I'm gonna end stream there. On that note. And thanks again, everybody, for sticking around. I will find somebody to host you guys with. And thank you so much for participating in the review and the raffle, too. I really appreciate that. It's always a lot of fun to kind of see what you guys think of the game as well. You know, it's not just coming from my perspective at that point. I might either be back later today or tomorrow. It depends. If there's people around that want to play some games or something today, I might just hang out and relax a little bit after that long set of bosses and stuff like that. Let's see here. I guess I will host Ulti since he's doing some Earthbound. So yeah, stop by, say hi, show him some love, and I'll either see you guys later or sometime tomorrow. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your weekend regardless.